Today's lesson is Chapter 11, Lesson 8, Integer Algebra. One thing I just noticed as I began to make this video is how much quieter it is when I'm teaching the iPad how to do math than it is when I'm doing some other things in class. I noticed that the iPad never talks back and never blurts out. That's kind of nice. So good job, Mr. iPad. Apple really manufactured their iPads well. I'm wasting your time now. I'm sorry. All right, integer algebra. So all we're doing in the video today is working on some integer stuff that also combines algebra. So we're not really learning anything new that we didn't already know. We are simply putting two things together. I'm going to give you an example of what that's going to look like. First problem is going to be x plus 7 is equal to 3. Now, this is going to require some knowledge of both algebra and of integers. So the first thing we need to do, remember, always in algebra, the first thing we need to do is get that letter alone. Remember, get letter alone. First thing we need to do is get the letter alone. So right now, what we're doing to that x is we are adding 7 to it. So what we need to do is subtract 7 from each side. That'll cancel out. So then our problem is we'll rewrite. Now it's important to be able to rewrite this. Otherwise you're just going to confuse yourself. Then it's x equals 3 minus 7. And guess what? Now, because of our integer knowledge, we know how to solve that. And by the way, I'm going to rewrite that. You wouldn't erase your work on your paper, of course. I'm just going to rewrite it over here because I'll need it later. Remember, our problem was x plus 7 equals 3. Okay, so now I have x is equal to 3 minus 7. Well, I know that 3 minus 7 is the same as 3 plus a negative 7. Now I have one positive and one negative. The 7 is bigger than the 3, so my sign has got to be negative. And then I find the difference. 7 minus 3 is 4. So my answer is x is equal to negative 4. Now I can try that. So I'll plug it in. Minus 4 plus 7 is equal to 3. Let's see if that's correct. Because my original one was x plus 7 is 3. If I have negative 4 and I add 7, do I get 3? Yes is the answer. You can test that with our math skills. You can test that on a number line, however you want to do it. But that is correct. So remember, you can always check algebra answers because you just plug in your answer and see if it works. Super awesome. Alright, so let's do another problem here. How about if we have 3b is equal to negative 21? Okay, so first thing we have to do is get that letter alone. The shortcut, remember, as always, whatever you're doing to the one side, do the opposite to the other side. So we're taking b times 3. So what we can do is take the opposite side divided by 3. So what that would look like is I would divide both sides by 3. Knock that out. So I do negative 21 divided by 3. That's what I'm left with. And I know 21 divided by 3 is 7. Now I know that if you have one negative and negative divided by a positive, the answer is going to be negative. So I'm left with b is equal to negative 7. Now I can test this out by plugging in negative 7. So 3 times negative 7, does that equal negative 21? It does, because 3 times 7 is 21. We have one negative, so the answer has to be negative. Okay, let's try 2 more. I'm going to write down 2 problems. You're going to pause, solve, and that's all there is to it. So here they are. Alright, here are your 2 problems. First problem, x minus 5 is equal to negative 8. Second problem, x divided by negative 7 is negative 3. Pause and solve. Alright. First thing we need to do, I'll start with number 1. First thing we need to do is whatever we do over here, we do the opposite over here, right? So we're subtracting 5, so that means over here we should add 5. So now what I have is minus 8 plus 5. Okay, remember, whatever the bigger number is, we take that sign. 8 is bigger than 5, so we're going to take that sign. So our answer is going to be negative, and then we just find the difference. What's 8 minus 5? 3, so our answer would be negative 3. Let's double check that. Negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. Is that correct? Yes, it is. If you started at negative 3 on a number line, and then you went backwards 5 more, you'd be at negative 8, right? That's correct. So your answer was negative 3. Let's look at number 2. So, first thing we need to do is get that x alone. What are we doing to x? We're dividing it by 7, so we need to do the opposite to both sides. So we take it times negative 7, that'll cross that out. So we're going to take this side times the negative 7. So we have negative 3 times negative 7. That's going to give us, remember, two negatives make it a positive. So our answer is going to be positive, and 3 times 7 is 21. So our answer is 21. Let's test it out. So if we plug that in, if we plug in 21 here, 21 divided by negative 7, does that equal negative 3? And the answer is yes. Is all there is to it. So, we'll see you next time.